Oh man. First of all, welcome back. Second of all, this is what happens when you are every department. So I and don't mind this. This will be gone tomorrow. This atrocity happening behind me, it will be gone tomorrow. Um but um uh I like doing this. What I don't like is the production part because production is only fun when there's a whole team of people doing it, right? You know, when you have the scripts and then you have the producers and you have the directors and the writers and everybody has their own respective position, right? And then you all come together and then you make great content. The problem is when you're every department, you're going to fall short. And so how I just fell short is the new intro that you just saw wasn't uploaded to the software. And I said, oh, hell no. There's absolutely and positively no way I'm going without my new intro being played. And so hopefully y'all like the new look. Y'all like the new logo. We I keep saying we like we have a team, but I'm speaking it into existence. We overhauled the rant room logo. We overhauled the logo for the lunchtime rant, and we and then we'll show you later the logo for the rant experience at the end when we do our spiel at the end. But we have a lot to cover today. And surprise, surprise. And so but before we get into the meat and potatoes of why we're here, here's something that of course all of us were expecting, but apparently Democrats weren't. I don't know.
Major breaking political news out of St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Tim Walz will not seek re-election as governor, and what a fall from grace this has been for him. You might recall in the spring of 2023, he pushed through several progressive ideas to the state legislature that caught the attention of Barack Obama, who went to Twitter to give his endorsement for the programs, which eventually caught the attention of people like Kamala Harris, who chose him to be her running mate as the vice president. Introduced in Chicago at the convention in August of last year, a debate that was an absolute disaster with J.D. Vance at one point called himself a knucklehead. But after reportedly billions of dollars have been stolen from taxpayers by way of the state of Minnesota, Tim Walz says he will not seek a third term. What a remarkable 2 years in the national spotlight has been for him, Dana.
And Walz hit Trump.
That's my reaction. That's my reaction. I was going to think, is this man really going to be that arrogant and try to still forge forward with a re-election bid? Democrats are pissed off in Minnesota, not just Republicans, not just MAGA. Democrats, you took their money and you got caught. Why don't you quit now? Resign today. We don't need you anymore, Tim Tard. And you know, here's the most alarming part in all of this. The most alarming part. This man was almost our vice president. So you know what would have happened if he was elected vice president and this scandal broke? They would have killed the stories across media. It would have literally said, nope, we're getting rid of all the stories across all media. The Kamala Harris administration would have, would have destroyed it. The Harris-Walz administration would have destroyed the story. And those musty light bulb head people would still be up there in Minneapolis and Maine and Washington State and Ohio and God knows where else, New York and California, I'm sure too, would have still been there stealing money. You got daycares lined up next to each other. Ain't that many children in the world that you need that many damn daycare centers. And nobody said, "Oh, this might be problematic. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves here." And also, let's be clear. What does this say about the judgment of one Kamala Harris? Hmm? What does it say about her? That she picked this thing as her running mate because she didn't want to pick the Jewish guy from Pennsylvania because that would have been too controversial for the base. The base wouldn't have voted for a Jew. Oh yeah. Remember DEI Kamala didn't want to pick DEI Pete Buttigieg because Pete Buttigieg sleeps with men. I saw no outrage towards Kamala Harris. Could you imagine if Donald Trump sat in an interview and said, "Yeah, I didn't hire him because of who he sleeps with"? We would never hear the end of it. It would literally be front page news. The fact that, and props to Nick Shirley, protect Nick Shirley at all cost. That man broke this whole thing wide open and literally told people what was going on. And what was the response? It's white supremacy. These are lies. This is from the Trump administration. They're just making this up. So if it's white supremacy being made up and it's not true, Tim Tard, why are you resigning? Why are you not running for reelection? Hmm? If it's all a myth and it's, right wing propaganda and we made it all up, Nick Shirley's a liar. Nick Shirley only, because remember, I saw the videos. I saw the videos. Nick Shirley only went to one daycare. That means you didn't see the video. Nick Shirley only went to the front door. The back door is where the kids were. Nick Shirley went to several of those daycares. He went inside. One building was like an office building, and it was literally the offices were just lined up. There was like four daycares lined up next to each other, and not one damn child in sight. So yeah, you got. Democrats, I know you won't hold this man accountable. The dummies that voted for him to be the vice president of these here United States, you're not going to hold him accountable because he has a D next to his name. But thankfully, the story got big enough where he couldn't ignore it anymore. And that's the beautiful part here, the absolutely beautiful part. So, and I realized Tim Walz has only been a national figure for 2 years. That's hilarious. So I hope your 2 years was great. Um, I hope killing that your fellow lawmakers in Minnesota was worth it because we all know something nefarious happened there, but we ain't gonna talk about it right now. But we all know something nefarious happened there. But also, it isn't over. You have to be held accountable in some way. Oh, yes, you do. Yeah, yes, you do. Oh, yes, sir. How could you not be? Y'all hemmed Donald Trump up for spending his own money on a hoe. At least it was his money. Y'all up here blowing the taxpayers' money on nefarious things. But anyway, let's get to the meat and potatoes of why we're here today. Um, this is one of the most iconic photos in American history. Hallelujah. Praise God. All right, let's bring it down. Glasses are doing a little tip thing. That's a little weird. Let's fix that. All right, cool. Yeah. So, yeah, we've all heard it. War crime, war criminal. He was kidnapped. You have literal brain dead people saying they would rather this man be their president than Trump. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Dummies literally protesting outside of the jail where this animal was being held. Oh, yeah, I would rather him be my president than you people have gone so far that I don't even it's you're not even redeemable at this point. Like, there's nothing you could say 10 years from now that will make me respect you. You could literally find a cure to cancer 10 years from now, and I still won't respect you. That's where I am with it. So shout out to Nike also, because Nike, they got the fit together, and then I'm sure Nike sales boosted with the picture. And what's the most amazing part of this picture is that not only is he wearing a Nike fit, but he's sagging. So you literally sagging your pants while in shackles after being hemmed up by the people. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But of course, anything Trump does, the Democrat Party has to do the opposite, right? It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or indifferent. You just have to do the opposite. The only time so far in Trump's tenure where the mainstream media has given him props was on Israel Gaza. That's the only time they gave him his props. Every other thing, all of these wars around the world, why are you getting involved? Well, we were involved in how many proxy wars that took how many of our servicemen and women's lives and maimed how many more? Stop playing with us. So yes, this man literally went in there, and we're literally going to break down legally. We're going to break down legally what a war crime is, because thank you to my favorite barista for inspiring that. My favorite barista inspired that, because then it set me down a rabbit hole, and I was like, yes, legally, what is a war crime? Because sometimes we get caught up in the buzzwords, democracy, constitution, unconstitutional, constitutional crisis, racist, homophobic, blah, blah, blah. We get caught up in the trigger words, the buzzwords, and we don't ever really get to the substance of what things are, because nobody wants to read anymore. Nobody want to read, nobody want to explore, nobody want to research, nobody want to unbiasedly read stuff, right? Even myself, sometimes I have to stop and say, read it unbiased. Don't read it from your conservative Republican perspective. Just read it, comprehend it, and then pick it apart, because that takes time. And what we don't have a lot of these days is time, because people, our attention span is like this, right? I've literally told y'all, I will have on a football game on the television. I'm watching something on the MacBook. I got something else playing on my PC, and then I'm playing like a card game on my phone, all at the same time. And I don't even know if I don't know what I'm absorbing in that moment, because I caught myself one day. I was like, "What are you actually listening to?" Because I couldn't tell. But that's the world we live in today. So I understand. We're pretty wound up, and we're all just looking for dopamine hits, and that's pretty much it. But let's be very, very clear. What President Trump did was not a war crime, and we will get there in a moment. But I want to talk about the hypocrisy of the Democrat Party first, because the Democrats, they have this thing where they will say things, forget about it, don't realize the internet is forever. And then when something happens that they politically have to push back on, they literally contradicted their original stance. So which face is the true face? Chuck Schumer.
He brags about all these things he wants to do or is doing, but his actions belie his words. Maybe the best metaphor was his claim to bring democracy to Venezuela. There was a big policy there. It flopped.
Oh.
If the policy was working, Juan Guaido wouldn't be in the balcony here. He'd be in Venezuela.
Oh.
He'd be sitting in the president's palace.
Oh.
Or at least waging a fight to win. He's here.
Oh.
And the president brags about his Venezuela policy? Give us a break.
Jesus.
He hasn't brought an end to the Maduro regime. The Maduro regime is more powerful today and more entrenched today than it was when the president began.
So what can the Congress do about it is the next question.
Well, the next question is very simple, and that is that we have the War Powers Act. That's a privilege resolution, which means the Republicans can't block it. Tim Kaine and I and Rand Paul are sponsors of it. It's going to come to the floor this week. And if it is voted for, if it's voted positively in both houses, then the president can't do another thing in Venezuela without the okay of Congress. We have to pass it.
President Trump say that he intends for the United States to run Venezuela? It was reckless, it was dangerous, and looking at the president's demeanor, he didn't even seem to be aware of how dangerous and reckless it is. Let me be clear. Maduro is an illegitimate dictator, but launching military action without congressional authorization, without a credible plan for what comes next, is reckless. Now, I was in the skiff on 3 different occasions, as recently as December, and I asked the administration, I asked them, are you pursuing regime change? Are you intent on taking military action in Venezuela, Venezuelan territory? And they assured me that they were not pursuing those things. Clearly, they're not being straight.
Literally, President Trump answered that question because you, un-American, anti-Trump monkeys would have literally tipped off the Venezuelan government. That's why they didn't tell you. Trump already answered that question. You know, it's really time to put these old people out to pasture. I'm going to be really ageist right now. Really, really, really ageist. When you get to be this old, you should be on the beach, rubbing Ben Gay on your bad joints, drinking prune juice so you can have a bowel movement that day and have fun with your life and enjoy the money you've made. Chuck Schumer needs to go. Anybody over the age of 70 in Congress should be subject to a cognitive test because it's clear that certain states keep sending the same stupid people back to Washington to do absolutely nothing but antagonize and keep these regressive BS talking points fresh in the minds of impressionable, stupid people. So let's get the facts straight. Oh, we probably won't get those straight anytime soon. But here's the butt plug. It's an old and obvious pattern. An unpopular president failing on the economy and losing his grip on the power at home decides to launch a war for regime change abroad. The American people don't want to run a foreign country while our leaders fail to improve life in this one. And so this, I can't say the words I want to say, said this in 2020: the illegitimate takeover of the Venezuelan National Assembly is further evidence that dictator Maduro will stop at nothing to consolidate his grip on power. I stand behind Juan Guaido and the Venezuelan people as they strive to reclaim their democracy and defend their rights. The internet is forever, people. And let's not forget the mush brain of all mush brains and a person who allegedly got 81 million votes and is calling out somebody else as illegitimate, but we're going to sit up here and play along right now. Obviously, he didn't write this. He probably don't even know Twitter exists, but X or whatever exists. But Trump talks tough on Venezuela. Oh, no, that's not him. Jupiter under the pressure. Trump talks tough on Venezuela, but admires thugs and dictators like Nicolás Maduro. As president, I will stand with the Venezuelan people and for democracy. Yeah, sure, Joey. Sure, Joey. You're going to stand with the American people. You lie. You lie, sir. And then our favorite mophead, press secretary, literally, the internet is forever.
Quickly turn to Venezuela, where Maduro once again demonstrated his complete disregard for democratic norms and proceeded with his illegitimate inauguration. As President Biden emphasized during his meeting with President-elect Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia on Monday, January 6, we believe that it is essential that the will of the Venezuelan people is respected. In coordination with our partners, we've given Maduro and his representatives every opportunity to restore democracy, but they haven't. So today we are building on all of our previous actions and taking further major actions. We announced new sanctions on key Maduro-aligned officials as a part of our efforts to hold them accountable, and we imposed more visa restrictions totaling nearly 2,000 individuals. We also increased the reward amount to $25 million for Nicolás Maduro and his so-called Minister of Interior as part of the Department of State's Narcotics Rewards Program.
So I have a question. If Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. had a bounty on the head of Maduro, if you get this scruffy in our country, we can prosecute him. We'll pay you $25 million. Does that mean that the Biden administration owes Donald Trump $25 million? Run the check, Joe. Run the check. So this is gonna be the lengthy part of the stream because I want to really unpack what a war crime is. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Yes. All right, cool. Now, wait a minute. I have one more. Because I believe hell actually froze over. I did not know hell could actually freeze over. Anna Navarro from The View. It looks like she's on Ozempic or something. She doesn't look as piggy as she used to. But she turned on her phone and said this.
Hi, you all. I'm back to talk to you about Venezuela after watching that cuckoo, crazy, insane press conference by Donald Trump just now.
Well, I didn't say it was all nice.
Listen, you can hate the method, you can find what he's done, and you can still like the outcome and be happy that Maduro, a man who has been part of oppressing Venezuela for over 25 years, is gone. But the devil's in the details, and let's break this down. Since early September, Donald Trump has been bombing small boats off the coast of Venezuela, allegedly drug boats, even though he never showed evidence. And for months now, he's been making this fight against Maduro all about drug trafficking. He said fentanyl was flowing into the U.S. from Venezuela. That's a lie. He said those boats off the Caribbean coast were bringing cocaine into the United States. That's a lie. But now, all of a sudden, he's changed his tune.
Okay, so where's the proof that it's a lie? So she has to set it up. Like, I don't really mess with him, but he did a good thing.
Instead of making it about drugs, he turned it all about oil. He talked about sending U.S. companies in to fix the infrastructure and run the oil industry.
Well, technically, the oil industry in Venezuela has been run by Exxon since 1998. You can look it up. It's a fact.
And pay themselves back and then sell oil to foreign nations. He talked about running Venezuela, that he was going to have Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio run Venezuela. Why? Venezuela has a legitimately elected government.
Well, that's the point. It's not that they're coming in to take over for 12 years. They're literally just making sure things go the way they're supposed to go. What Biden should have done.
In 2024, Maria Corina Machado's party ran and beat Maduro is out. I celebrate that as justification to this was about drugs. Today, all he talked about was oil, and running Venezuela. He wanted to coin the term the Monroe Doctrine. I guess a take on the Monroe Doctrine back from a couple of centuries ago that James Monroe used as justification to intervene in Latin America. This is insane. This is insane. And
Yes, so insane. It's so psycho.
And yes, I celebrate that Maduro is out. I celebrate that a thug who has imprisoned, jailed, and tortured so many Venezuelans, a thug who has led over 8 million Venezuelans to seek refuge and exile all over the world. There's hundreds of thousands here in Spain, hundreds of thousands in Florida, millions in Peru, Colombia, and all over Latin America. People who fled their homeland for fear and wanting to give their families a chance of living in justice and in freedom. But that does not mean the United States and Donald Trump had to run Venezuela. There was one of the Trump towers. It is not.
All right, she's, but the fact that she gave a little bit of props is saying a lot. But a lot of the stuff is her emotions, and she's told to say, she has to stick to the script. It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong, and I don't think she said the right name with regard to that election, but I don't remember his name. I think it was Gonzalez or something. But anyway, oh yes, thank you, Pat. Edmundo Gonzalez is his name, and he rightfully won that last election. Anyway, so let's get the facts straight, folks, because the word or the term war crime is getting thrown around by people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. Now, in late 2025, let me give a little backstory. The United States starts escalating pressure on Venezuela. Not because of vibes, not because of X posts or tweets, but because Nicolás Maduro is already under U.S. indictment for narco terrorism, drug trafficking, and weapons charges. That part gets skipped over every time, just like in Ana Navarro's video. That gets skipped over every time. Just made it seem like we swooped in and just wanted to take him back to the United States. We don't really want him here, but it's time for your day in court, right? So they conveniently roll over that part every time and just leave it all out. But by the fall of 2025, U.S. naval assets are in the region. Sanctions are tightened. The stuff that Biden alleged to have done but didn't really do. Intelligence operations are clearly underway. None of this is a secret, people. None of it. None of this is new. This is months of buildup. So now let's fast forward to January 3rd, 2026. The U.S. launches a targeted military operation in Venezuela. Airstrikes hit specific military and security targets tied to the regime. Special operations forces move in. This isn't a bombing campaign. This isn't a regime-wide destruction. This is a precision operation, people. Nicolás Maduro is captured along with his wife. No civilian massacre. No city was flattened. He's literally extracted and flown out. Boom. The president of the United States orders a mission that captures a sitting foreign leader under existing criminal indictments and brings him to face charges in U.S. court. And suddenly, because like everything else Donald Trump does, everybody on TikTok, everybody on Instagram, everybody on YouTube, everybody on X becomes international law experts. But here's what didn't happen. There was no declaration of war because this wasn't a war. There was no occupation of the Venezuelan people. There was no targeting of civilians. This was a law enforcement driven military operation against an indicted narco state leader. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what really matters here. So, within days, Marco is scheduled to appear in federal court. Venezuela installs interim leadership internally. The U.S. does not claim sovereignty. Ana Navarro. It does not seize territory. It does not dissolve the state. And that's where the hypocrisy kicks in, ladies and gentlemen. The same people screaming illegal today cheered when the U.S. drones foreign targets without trials. They applauded regime change when it fit their politics. They defended extrajudicial actions when their team was in charge. You better look at Barack Obama's record. You better look at President Black Jesus. You better look at President Obama's record, because now all of a sudden it's unconstitutional. Suddenly it's a, quote, war crime. Suddenly America has gone too far. Actually, no, she hasn't. I don't think she's gone far enough. But what really happened is this: Trump did something decisive, limited, and effective. And it broke the narrative. Yeah. International law does not protect criminal heads of state forever. Sovereignty is not a shield for narco-terrorism, and war crimes require intent to target civilians, indiscriminate forces, or violations of armed conflict law, none of which are present here. Are you emotional people tracking with me? You don't have to like Trump to understand the difference between a war crime and a targeted capture. But you do have to stop lying. Because words mean things. Law means things. And yelling war crime every time you don't like an outcome just proves you never understood the rules in the first place. That's the timeline. That's the context. And that's the part they don't want you to hear. Now, we heard from Karine Jean-Pierre, right? So clearly the Biden administration had a role in this. So let's go. Let's clear something up really quickly, because history didn't start 5 minutes ago. Under the Biden administration, Nicolás Maduro wasn't some misunderstood victim. He was still labeled a dictator. He was still under U.S. sanctions. The United States never recognized him as a legitimate president. That part is conveniently forgotten by the people screaming on the streets right now and screaming on social media right now and attacking everybody who supports or voted for Donald Trump. What Trump did was apply pressure. Sorry, not Trump. What Biden did was apply pressure without teeth. Sanctions stayed in place, but enforcement softened. Then came the pivot. Conditional relief. Oil sanctions eased, economic pressure loosened, all ties to the promise of free and fair elections. Can we just point out the irony really quickly about free and fair elections and then the 2020 election happening, and how basically anybody who contested that election was basically ostracized, banned, told they were crazy, it was a right-wing conspiracy because you couldn't full out prove it. But you knew something went wrong, right? Spoiler alert. Anyway, back in Venezuela, those elections weren't free at all, and they damn sure weren't fair. Maduro manipulated the process, crushed opposition, and claimed victory anyway. And what did the Biden administration do? Issued statements, expressed concern, threatened to maybe retighten sanctions later. Maybe. No arrest, no accountability, no consequences. That actually changed behavior. Meanwhile, Maduro stayed in power, kept his money flowing, and kept running a narco state while the U.S. pretended diplomacy was working. Because you remember, the whole Biden administration was a big facade. Biden didn't remove Maduro. Biden didn't capture Maduro. Biden didn't force a reckoning. He sanctioned around the problem and hoped vibes would fix it. Or he knew he wasn't going to get reelected or he wasn't going to be back, so he just thought he'd just pass it on to the next president. Fast forward to now, and the same people who applauded engagement are suddenly outraged when action replaces dialogue. We looked at Pete Buttigieg's old tweets. We looked at Joe Biden's old tweets. We heard Chuck Schumer. We heard the word Chucky. So let's be honest. The Biden administration's approach brought Maduro time. Trump's approach ended it. You don't have to like the messenger to understand the contrast. One administration applied pressure and waited. The other applied pressure and finished the job. See the difference? Ladies and gentlemen, that's not a war crime. That's the difference between talking tough and acting decisive. And that's the part that people keep leaving out. You know. So let's break a couple things down, because I know y'all still, for those who are still listening, y'all probably, the dummies who don't agree with me. Let me say this slow for the people in the back screaming war crime every 5 seconds. A war crime is a legal charge, not a panic button. A war crime is a legal charge, not a panic button. I'm going to pull a Dr. Umar right now. A war crime is a legal charge, not a panic button. Because the moment President Donald Trump does anything involving Venezuela, here come the NGO pundits, Twitter lawyers, TikTok lawyers, yelling war crime. Like they just unlocked the ultimate villain card or something. Is there even a war? That should be your first question. Because no armed conflict means no war crime. Not maybe, not I feel like. Legally impossible without an armed conflict. Second, who was targeted? A civilian? No. Or somebody actively running an authoritarian regime, directing violence, trafficking drugs, destabilizing a region. Because if you're participating in hostilities, you don't get civilian immunity just because CNN likes you today. That's not how this works, Sway. And this one is really going to hurt some feelings. Killing or capturing a bad actor is not actually a war crime. Ask President Obama. There is no law that says world leaders are untouchable because they hold a title. That's a fantasy, ladies and gentlemen. That's propaganda. And here comes the favorite move. But civilians could have been hurt. Cool. Now, legally, you have to show me intent. Show me indiscriminate targeting. Show me disappropriate force. Show me jurisdiction. Oh, of course, when I ask for these things, you can't provide it. Then you don't have a legal case. You have a headline. Because courts decide war crimes, not MSNBC, not X, not TikTok, not Instagram, not activists screaming into their ring lights. So when they yell, Trump war crime, because the facts are even known, before the facts are even known, understand the play here, ladies and gentlemen. They're not enforcing international law. They're trying to criminalize American power. So let's be clear, that's not justice. That's narrative warfare. And I don't fall for it, but many, many people do. Because it's a trigger to say war crime. Legally, a war crime is a serious violation of international humanitarian law committed during an armed conflict for which individuals can be held criminally responsible. You want some legal sources on that? Oh, the Geneva Conventions. How about that? You have additional protocols enacted in 1977. Then you have the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, aka the ICC. So, a war crime occurs when protected persons or objects are intentionally targeted or abused in violation of the laws and customs of war. Key legal requirements for that, ladies and gentlemen, there must be an armed conflict. We already established that's not happening. The act must have a nexus to the conflict we've established. Well, since there's no armed conflict, how are we getting there? The act must be serious, not incidental. The perpetrator must have criminal intent or recklessness. Donald Trump was bringing a criminal to the United States to face justice, an illegitimate criminal. So I'll go with the people of Venezuela celebrating on the streets before I go with your I hate Trump. Because you hate somebody you don't know, which already tells me you're unhinged. I don't like Biden's policies, a good chunk of them. I don't like a good chunk of what Kamala Harris ran on, but I can never say I hate Kamala Harris or that I hate Joe Biden because I don't know them. What I know of them is what I've been exposed to, right? That's it. Now I can say I agree or disagree with decisions, speeches, policy, whatever. But to say I hate them and wake up every day in this vengeful state where I just want to wrath out on everybody who supports Joe Biden or Kamala Harris is ridiculous. It's the stupidest thing you could possibly do. But here are a few examples of war crimes: targeting civilians or civilian infrastructure, murder, torture, or inhumane treatment of civilians or prisoners of war, taking hostages, intentionally attacking hospitals, medical staff, or aid workers, using prohibited weapons, ergo chemical weapons, pillaging or looting, using human beings as shields, forcing civilians to fight, outrage upon personal dignity, ergo rape, sexual violence, humiliation, executing detainees without trial. Now, I do believe there is a president named Barack Hussein Obama who who made some drone strikes, and I believe it was Yemen. And none of those people had their day in court. They just got obliterated, right? But let's be clear. What is not actually a war crime? This is where people get it absolutely, positively, 1000% wrong. Killing enemy combatants in combat is not a war crime. Capturing or detaining enemy leaders? No. If lawful, collateral damage, not automatically, but must be excessive or indiscriminate. Military strikes, not a war crime, if proportional and aimed at military targets. Regime change, sanctions, arrests, not war crimes. So, who can commit war crimes? Soldiers, commanders, heads of state, militias, non state actors. I was following orders is not a legal defense, which is why they tried to scare the military into defying the orders of President Trump, because they tried to make it seem like he was doing something nefarious or bad when literally he's doing everything within his executive powers. So, who decides what this is, what all of this is? National courts, international tribunals, and the ICC. When it has jurisdiction, they do that. But the bottom line is a war crime is not about politics. It's not about outrage. It's about specific illegal conduct during war, proven under international law with clear standards of intent, context, and proportionality. I mean, how can you not understand this at this point, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, I think I've been very, very clear for those who are still listening. because I know it's a lot. It's a lot of information. It was a lot of information to read in such a short period of time, but I had to make sure that I knew what I was talking about, because when you talk to these international law experts that go on TikTok with 2 followers on anonymous accounts, you got to kind of, be able to push back on their stupidity, right? And let's be clear, a war crime sounds moral, not legal. That's why people throw it out like it's confetti, but it's actually legal. People use war crime like it's a moral insult. A war crime is a technical legal charge. Mhm. Mm. We've gone over it already. So your feelings don't matter, you know. But this is why it's abused. It's abused because moral language is fast, it's quick, it's instant. You can get it. Get it. Legal language, like what I'm doing right now, legal language is slow, steady, right? And it's not very entertaining a lot of the time, right? So you have folks who just tune out because they just want to get the dopamine hit and they just want to be pissed off. They don't want information. They just want their feelings validated. And I'm not here to validate anybody's feelings. Ah, people. So yeah, that's legally what a war crime is. You know, it's not, I'm going to say something salacious on social media. I'm going to scream into my phone and have, 1 million people like it and 500 million views. And that doesn't make you brilliant. It doesn't make you a legal ego. It just makes you an emotional person with a phone. That's all it does. That's all it is, right? You're not a court. You can't charge anything to anybody. You have no details. In fact, we don't even have enough details at this point for y'all to even call it a war crime. And you know what I also love? I also love the experts. When they put the experts up there, because that's supreme moment to give people side eye, because these experts, oh nah, you shouldn't have to call yourself an expert. And just because you're sitting on CNN and MSNBC, even Fox News, you still got to give these people a bit of side eye, because who are these experts? That phrase alone should be a huge red flag for you, ladies and gentlemen, prosecutors or activists, ICC judges or NGO spokespeople, military lawyers or political advocates. Courts decide war crimes, once again, ladies and gentlemen, not NGOs, not X, not Twitter, not social media, not cable news. Yes. And a lot of times, what's missing from the headlines we read, um, it's always missing alleged. It's always missing under investigation. It's always missing pending evidence. It's always missing subject to jurisdiction. You know why it's always missing those words? Because certainty sells better than accuracy ever will. So yeah, when you say something with certainty, people will dial in. When you say alleged, when you say under investigation, when you say pending evidence, when you say subject to jurisdiction, people don't want to hear that. No, 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 no. But when you see war crime used instantly, confidently, and without armed conflict analysis, intent analysis, proportionality, balance, jurisdiction, discussion, you are not reading law, ladies and gentlemen. You are reading political theater. Sorry to break the news to you. Now, I know that was a lot. That was a lot, but I really, really wanted to unpack legally what a war crime is, because most people don't have the attention span to listen, and I get it. I get it. You got a whole bunch of options, left, right, center, whatever you believe politically. There's somebody screaming into their phone right now about a Trump issue, a Biden issue, a Kamala issue, a Tim Walz issue, a Democrat, Republican, this, that, the third. But not very often do you get people who sit down, take the time and say, wait a minute, what does this actually really mean? And how do you unpack it legally? So I thank you. Thank you to my favorite barista for inspiring that, because I probably would not have taken that angle because the show was already scheduled. And then I changed up completely what I was going to say and talk about, because this is what happens when you have friends who are actually baristas. And if you don't know what a barista is, you're just not in on the joke. But anyway, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right, Inked. I did a little digging. I did a little digging, and I found some stuff. So hopefully, I was thorough enough. Hopefully I was thorough enough. But I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for enjoying and listening. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to the first show of 2026. We out here. We back. We got a new look. Probably the same sound. But it is what it is. We got to get rid of this background because this ain't gonna work for me. This looks terrible. But I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. If you would like to support the channel, you can head on over to ajsrantroom.com. Yes, this is the new ajsrantroom.com hoodies. This is our new logo. It's fire. On the back of the hoodie is the American flag all the way down the back. And so it was a great creation. Go support it, ajsrantroom.com. If the hoodie is a little pricey, there is a t-shirt alternative if you would prefer to purchase a t-shirt, or if the t-shirt is a little more in your budget, you can go that route. Also, if you want to buy me a coffee, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/AJsRantRoom, or you can scan this beautiful QR code here and go buy me a coffee. Well, in this case, a tea. So you'll be buying me a tea, not a coffee. And so, you can buy me a coffee. I also take cash apps at AJsRant. So support the movement however you can. And also, here is the new Rant Experience logo. So this is my other podcast called The Rant Experience, and that is every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here in these TikTok streets and YouTube streets and Instagram streets, and no longer on Facebook, because Facebook was doing something crazy where the people I license the music from for the show, they don't have, I guess they don't have an agreement with Facebook. And so take they take whatever money that I would get from that live stream, they take all of it for playing a like 15-second video. And I was like, we got to figure that out before we continue to stream there. We're also streaming on X, by the way. Anyway, that is all for now. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for allowing me to rant and really break down what a war crime is, because it's good to be informed. You look funny when you're emotional. You want to be more informed than emotional. Just a heads up, just a little heads up. You want to be informed. You don't be in your feelings, because we all have feelings. We all feel. That doesn't mean you're correct. We all have opinions. We all have beliefs. But anyway, thank you. Hallelujah. Praise God. All glory be to God. We made it to 2026. I'm praying it's a great year for you. I'm praying it's a great year for myself. A lot of things are moving here, and I really, 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 really hope I start to build out a team this year. That would make me so much happier. It's like I can do all of these things, but I would prefer to delegate it to other people and just say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Anyway, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. And I forgot to I announced, I said it on TikTok yesterday, but as of January 1st, if you don't have YouTube Premium, when you clicked on this, you might have saw a commercial. So that officially means that this account is monetized. So thank you, Lord, for the top of the year, literally January 1st. Finally, we got there. I literally worked for 12 months for YouTube for free. Like literally made no money on YouTube. So now the real work begins. So now that we've been monetized, now we can push and chug along and get it done and make things happen. So thank you guys so much for being instrumental in making that happen. Please like, please share, please comment, please subscribe. The most important part is share, because we got to start running up these subscriptions on YouTube. So if you're listening on another platform and you want to come on over to YouTube, please do. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And that is it for today. Thank you. Thank you. Hallelujah. Praise God. Oh, and tomorrow's show, you're really gonna be into tomorrow's show. So peace out, y'all.